Right, Michelle. If you can see behind me, this is what we can actually call a mammoth crowd. Very many voters have arrived here at the Aga Khan Social Hall, and polls opened just a few minutes after 6 o'clock this morning, say about 15 minutes from 6 o'clock. And what you can see here is there is a lot of order and no chaos has erupted. People are exercising their rights in a peaceful manner. We were also just inside the polling station seeing how that exercise is taking place. There are 7 streams in this particular polling center, and we could see that the Kim's gadgets are working efficiently. Maybe what could be a bit of a concern is just the length of time that it takes for one voter to go through the whole process, right from the identification to getting the ballot papers to actually voting. I did some sort of mathematics of that, and I could see it was taking an average of about 4 to 5 minutes per voter. And looking at the number of people who are in this particular polling center, which we understand has the second largest number of registered voters in Kisumu County, then maybe we're in for a long day here. But what is important to note is that the systems are working. Just a few cases where I could be able to see from the start of the polls, a few cases of voters who could not get their identities electronically, but the alternative method, took place as was prescribed by the IEBC efficiently, and they were able to scan their identification cards, and the process taking place just as prescribed, filling the Form 34A, and that went very well. So the other question is, what are the interesting races to look at in this particular county? The 6 levels of voting. Of course, from the presidential vote, it's largely seen as a 2-horse race between incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga. Now, this is known to be an opposition stronghold, Michelle and Michael. During the last general election in 2013, Raila Odinga garnered 96% of the presidential vote in this county, and Uhuru Kenyatta then garnering just over 4%. It's interesting to see how that is going to take place. Has, the Jubilee administration made some inroads in this opposition zone? We saw them last month just coming to this area, launching some projects in a manner to woo the voters from this place, while noting that indeed it is an opposition stronghold. They, relaunched the East African Breweries plant here in Kisumu, which is slated to increase job opportunities. Unemployment here is rife. So we wait to see whether that percentage is going to go a bit higher. The gubernatorial race is also one to watch. We have the incumbent Jack Ranguma, whom after the nominations, which was a bit of a tussle there, and he decided to vie independently, and Anyang' Nyong'o, Senator Anyang' Nyong'o, is now vying on the ODM ticket for the gubernatorial seat. So it's a hot contest between these two, varying views. We have been speaking to Wananchi here just to try and see, how that looks like it's going to swing. It's a very tight race, but the incumbent seems to still hold, a lot of popularity with the residents here, despite not flying the ODM ticket, which you would imagine that having that muscle of the party would then be an advantage to him. But it's a very tight race to watch. Another race to watch is at the constituency level. There are 7 constituencies in Kisumu County: Kisumu Central, Kisumu West, Kisumu East, Nyakach, Seme, and Muhoroni as well. And we'll be doing a spot check across several of these counties. We know that Senator Anyang' Nyong'o will be voting in Seme constituency, where we'll be heading right next. But just to know that here, where we are right now at the Aga Khan Hall, this is based at the Kisumu Central constituency. It is actually where the Kisumu city is at. And we will be looking also at that particular race. The incumbent John Obure, vying on the federal party ticket, is said to not... he's facing a very tough kind of battle from the ODM candidate for the MP of this constituency, that is Fred Oud, and we'll be looking at how that is going. But from now, we can report that voting is going on in a very orderly manner, and that's a good thing to report. Started off just a few minutes after 6 o'clock, which is also just fine, and the systems are also working as expected as at now. So we continue to keep an eye here for you, Michael. And Michelle, back to you.
All right, Sharon, just before we let you go, two issues of concern. One is surrounding the ballot papers and whether they will be stamped, or all of them have been stamped, because, of course, IBC said just the other day that an unstamped ballot paper would be considered valid, and then they went again and changed that directive and said only stamped ballot papers would be considered valid. Are citizens there and voters there being keen on checking that the ballot papers are indeed stamped by IBC?
Yes, Michelle, I was inside there just checking once the polls opened how this is going, trying to verify that the kids are, one, able to identify the voters electronically, and if not, whether the alternative system of scanning the IDs, filling the Form 32 is also happening as was prescribed. Remember, the IEBC has been doing a lot to try and sensitize the voters on the systems right from the start, right when you get to the polling station, exactly what you should expect, exactly what you should do. And it's impressive to report, Michelle, that actually citizens here understand what is expected to happen. But of course, inside the polling stations also, the clerks there also just going step by steps. There were two clerks who are engaged in the voter identification process, one just looking at the identification cards of the voters, and also should they need then to use the alternative method, that there are two there and all just guiding the voters there. So also we were able to see that the ballot papers are being stamped. They are stamped, and this is what has been happening from this place, Michelle. So the systems are going as was prescribed, and there seems to be a high level of understanding of this process by the Kenyans. And where there is challenges, we've also seen a number of disabled citizens walking into the poll, and to see that not just getting help from the IBC officials, but also the Kenyans here just paving way for those who need extra help. It's quite the spirit, to applaud, Michelle. We've seen a number of those actually here, from the women who are a bit elderly, just being given way to go and vote fast. And also we have the agents, of course, for the different candidates as well as for the different parties. So what we can report is that there seems to be a high level of understanding of the process, and a prudent way in which this exercise is being conducted, Michelle.
Many thanks, Sharon Momanyi there, keeping an eye on the voting process in Kisumu County. Everything seems to be going smoothly there as Kenyans and their leaders alike come out to cast their ballot. And among the leaders who have just cast their ballot is Gladys Postrile, who is running for the Wasin Gishu woman representative position. Let's cross over